It all started on a warm September afternoon, the kind where the sunlight gently touched the windows and everything seemed peaceful, until my sister, Lily, showed up at our doorstep with 2 suitcases and a trembling smile. Emily had always been the responsible one in her family, a calm, organized woman in her mid-30s. She had built a good life with her husband, Ryan, in a quiet neighborhood in Oregon. Their home was their pride, filled with laughter, little traditions, and the comfort of knowing they were each other's person. But that afternoon, when Lily appeared with eyes that looked both lost and hopeful, Emily's heart softened. Her younger sister had always been a free spirit, charming but impulsive. And after her recent breakup, she had nowhere else to go. I just need a little time," Lily whispered, her voice breaking. Emily didn't hesitate. "Of course, Lily, you can stay here as long as you need." Ryan stood behind her, quiet but understanding. He was the kind of man who didn't talk much but always made people feel safe. With his easy smile and calm nature, he had been Emily's anchor for years. That night, as Lily unpacked her things in the guest room, Emily sat on the couch beside Ryan. The TV flickered in the background, but her thoughts were elsewhere. "I hope this won't be too much," she said softly. Ryan smiled, placing a reassuring hand on hers. "Your sister needs us. We'll make it work." It was a simple moment, but one that made Emily's heart swell with gratitude. She had married a man who understood her heart. The first few days went smoothly. Lily tried her best to stay out of the way, helping with dinner, doing dishes, even baking cookies one evening like she used to when they were kids. The sisters laughed late into the night, reminiscing about childhood memories. Ryan would often listen quietly from the living room, smiling at their laughter. He admired the way Emily cared for people, even when it wasn't easy. But as days turned into weeks, Emily started to notice little things. Lily was always around Ryan, asking him about his work, joining him in the garden, or sitting nearby when he watched sports. None of it was wrong, but something about it made Emily uneasy. She brushed it off at first. After all, they were family. One evening, while Ryan was fixing a shelf in the kitchen, Lily stood nearby, laughing at something he said. Emily watched from the doorway, the hammer in his hand. Her sister's smile, it all felt too comfortable. She caught herself thinking, "Why am I feeling this way?" That night, Emily couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling, listening to the rain tapping softly against the window. Ryan turned over beside her, half asleep. "You okay?" he murmured. She hesitated before whispering, "I just hope Lily's doing okay. I think she's trying to adjust." Ryan opened one eye, smiled faintly, and said, "She'd be fine. You always take care of everyone. Don't worry so much." But Emily did worry, not because she didn't trust Ryan, but because something about the energy in the house had changed. It wasn't loud or obvious, but subtle, like a shift in the air that only she could feel. A week later, during breakfast, Emily finally decided to talk. "Ryan," she began, her tone calm but firm, "I need to ask you something." He looked up from his coffee, sensing her seriousness. "Could you just make sure you give Lily a little space? I think she needs time to find her balance again." Ryan blinked, surprised but not offended. "Of course, if that's what you want. I just think it's best for her," Emily added gently. "She needs to learn to stand on her own again." Ryan nodded slowly. "Whatever makes you comfortable, I'll do exactly what you ask." The words were simple, but they carried weight. That day, Ryan kept his promise. He was kind, but distant, polite, but careful. Emily noticed the change immediately. He no longer joined Lily in the garden, or stayed up chatting with her. He helped when needed, but nothing more. Lily seemed to notice too. Her smile dimmed a little, and her eyes avoided Ryan's. One evening, Emily found her sister sitting alone on the porch, staring at the sunset. "Are you okay?" Emily asked softly. Lily looked up, her voice fragile. "Yeah, I just feel like maybe I'm in the way." Emily's heart ached. She wanted to tell her that wasn't true, but deep down, she wasn't sure what was true anymore. Something had shifted between the three of them, and though no one said it out loud, they all felt it. That night, Emily stood by the window while Ryan read a book in bed. She watched the moonlight spill across the backyard, her thoughts tangled between gratitude and guilt. Had she done the right thing by asking Ryan to keep his distance? Or had she broken something fragile that could never quite be mended? Ryan looked up from his book and met her eyes. "You're thinking too much again." She smiled faintly. "Maybe I am." He reached for her hand. "You asked me to do something, and I did. Whatever comes next, we'll handle it together." His words were gentle, but they left Emily wondering what next might really mean, because deep down, she knew this was only the beginning. The next morning, the house felt quieter than usual. The kind of quiet that wasn't peaceful but heavy. Emily noticed it right away. Ryan had already left for work, and Lily sat at the kitchen table, stirring her coffee without drinking it. The light from the window hit her face softly, but her eyes seemed far away. "Morning," Emily greeted gently, trying to sound cheerful. Lily looked up and forced a small smile. "Morning, Em." Emily waited for her to say more, maybe something funny like she usually did, but silence lingered between them. Something had changed, and both of them could feel it. Over the next few days, Ryan kept his promise exactly as he said he would. He was kind, respectful, but distant. He no longer stopped to chat when Lily walked into the room. If she asked about his work, he answered politely but shortly. And when the three of them had dinner together, his attention stayed on Emily. No more shared laughs or inside jokes with her sister. At first, Emily felt relief. She told herself this was what she wanted: peace, boundaries, order. But as days passed, she began to feel something else: guilt. One night, while cleaning up after dinner, she caught Lily quietly washing the dishes. "You don't have to do that," Emily said softly. "It's okay," Lily murmured, her eyes on the sink. "I just feel better keeping busy." Emily hesitated. "Lily, are you feeling uncomfortable here?" Lily's hands stopped moving. She took a slow breath. "Not uncomfortable, just different. Ryan barely talks to me now. I think I did something wrong." Her words hit Emily like a wave. She wanted to tell her sister the truth, that she had asked Ryan to keep his distance. But she couldn't bring herself to say it. Instead, she forced a small smile. "Ryan's just been busy lately," she said quietly. Lily nodded, though her face said she didn't quite believe it. That night, Emily lay awake again, listening to the rhythm of Ryan's breathing beside her. She turned to him. "Do you think I was too harsh?" she asked softly. Ryan opened one eye, a hint of sadness flickering there. "You did what you thought was best, but sometimes when we build walls to protect something, we end up keeping love out too." His words lingered in the dark like an echo she couldn't ignore. The next weekend, Emily decided to fix things, or at least try. She suggested they all go out for dinner, a small restaurant by the lake, where the lights shimmered against the water. Ryan agreed, and Lily hesitated but eventually said yes. That evening, as they sat together, the awkward silence from the past days slowly began to melt. Ryan asked Lily about her plans, and for the first time in weeks, she smiled, really smiled. Emily felt her chest loosen, the tension softening. The three of them laughed again, just like they used to. For a moment, it almost felt normal. But then, something unexpected happened. As they walked back to the car, Lily slipped slightly on the curb. Ryan instinctively reached out to steady her, his hand on her arm. Their eyes meeting for a brief second. It was nothing inappropriate, just a reflex. But Emily saw it, and for some reason, that simple moment made her heart tighten. She wasn't angry, she wasn't even jealous, but she felt something she couldn't name. A mix of fear, confusion, and a sudden awareness that emotions, no matter how innocent, could shift in unpredictable ways. That night, after Lily had gone to bed, Emily sat by the fireplace, lost in thought. Ryan joined her quietly, sitting beside her with a sigh. "You've been quiet all night," he said softly. "I'm just thinking about what?" She hesitated. "About us. About how easily things can change." Ryan turned toward her. His gaze was gentle but steady. "Nothing has changed for me, Em. You're my home. Always have been." Her throat tightened. "I know. I just worry sometimes." He reached out and took her hand. "You asked me to keep distance, and I did. But distance doesn't solve what hearts can feel, it only hides it for a while." Emily looked into his eyes, and for a second, she saw something she hadn't seen in weeks: honesty, depth, and maybe even a quiet sadness. She realized he wasn't just keeping distance from Lily, he was keeping distance from everything, including her. The next morning, Lily announced she had found a part-time job at a local coffee shop. "That's great news," Emily said with genuine excitement. Lily smiled, her energy brighter than before. "It's not much, but it's a start. I think I needed something to do." Ryan congratulated her too, his tone warm but careful. For the first time in a while, Emily felt hope. Maybe this was the balance they all needed: a little space, a little independence. But as Lily left for her first day of work that week, Ryan watched her go from the kitchen window. It was only a brief glance, nothing more. Yet Emily saw it. And in that fleeting moment, She realized this story wasn't over. Whatever was unfolding in their home had just begun to take shape. The first week after Lily started her new job felt lighter, like the house could finally breathe again. The sound of the coffee maker in the mornings, the quiet evenings after work, and Ryan's laughter returning little by little, it all made Emily feel like life was settling back to normal. Or at least, she hoped it was. Lily would leave early, dressed in her coffee shop apron, humming softly. Sometimes she brought home leftover pastries and placed them on the counter with a little note. "For you guys, thanks for letting me stay." Emily smiled every time she saw it. That was her sister, sweet, thoughtful, trying her best to belong again. But as the days went by, Emily began noticing small things. Not wrong, not suspicious, just curious. Ryan would sometimes stop by the cafe on his way home from work. Once he mentioned it casually during dinner. "They make really good espresso there," he said, sipping his drink. Lily smiled faintly. "Yeah, I've seen you there a few times. You always sit by the window." Emily's fork paused in midair. "You go there often?" she asked, trying to keep her tone light. Ryan shrugged. "Maybe once or twice a week. It's on my route back. And besides, it's Lily's place. Showing a little support doesn't hurt, right?" "Right," Emily said with a tight smile. It was true, there was nothing wrong with that, but something about the idea unsettled her. Maybe because she'd asked Ryan to keep distance. And now the distance felt like it was quietly shrinking again in ways she hadn't expected. The next afternoon, Emily decided to surprise Lily with lunch. She packed sandwiches and drove to the cafe, humming along to the radio. The autumn leaves were starting to fall, painting the streets in shades of gold and red. When she walked in, she spotted Lily behind the counter, chatting with customers, her smile bright and easy. She looked happy, lighter than she'd been in months. Emily felt proud. Her sister was rebuilding herself. Then, as she turned toward the corner table, her heart skipped. Ryan was there. He hadn't seen her yet. He was sipping coffee, his phone on the table, a half-eaten muffin beside it. Lily walked over with a napkin, laughing at something he said. Their conversation looked effortless, like old friends. Emily froze, her chest tightening not because they were doing anything wrong, but because it looked too comfortable. It was the very comfort she'd asked him to take away, and now, seeing it return made her feel invisible. She didn't walk over right away. Instead, she watched quietly for a moment, the way Ryan looked at her sister when she spoke, the way Lily laughed like she'd finally found her joy again. It hurt in a way she couldn't explain. Finally, she took a deep breath and walked toward them. "Hey," she said softly. Lily turned, startled. What are you doing here? I thought I'd surprise you," Emily replied with a faint smile. Setting the lunchbox down, Ryan's expression shifted from surprise to guilt, though he had no reason to feel any. "I was just having coffee," he said quickly. "I can see that," Emily replied gently, her voice calm but distant. For the rest of the short visit, she kept her composure, talking about harmless things, the weather, her work, the pastries. But beneath her smile, a quiet ache began to bloom. That night, Ryan noticed the silence. They sat in the living room, the TV muted, the clock ticking softly on the wall. He said after a while, "You've been quiet since we got home." She hesitated, then looked at him. "I saw you at the cafe today." He nodded slowly. "Yeah, I stopped by for coffee." "With Lily," she added. "Yes," he admitted, his tone careful. "She looked tired. I just wanted to check in, make sure she was okay." Emily swallowed hard. "You don't have to do that. That's my job, Ryan. She's my sister." He leaned back, sighing. "Emily, I'm not crossing any lines. You asked me to give her space, and I did, but she's family, too. I just don't want her to feel alone." The words were kind, but they cut deep. Emily looked down, her voice trembling. "Do you ever think about how hard this is for me? To watch you be kind to her when I'm the one asking for distance?" Ryan's eyes softened. "Then what do you want me to do, Ignore her completely? Pretend she's not here?" She didn't answer. The truth was, she didn't know what she wanted anymore. She only knew she felt something slipping, something between all three of them that used to feel simple. Later that night, as she lay awake again, she heard soft footsteps outside her room. The door creaked, then a whisper, Lily's voice. "Ryan." Emily froze. Ryan stirred beside her. "Yeah," he whispered back. "I just wanted to say thank you," Lily said softly from the hallway. "For being kind. For not treating me like a burden." Ryan's voice was low. "You're not a burden, Lily, you never were." There was a pause. Then, quietly, Lily said, Good night." The door closed. Emily's heart pounded. Nothing about the exchange was wrong, but it felt wrong. Not because of what was said, but because of what it revealed. A closeness she hadn't expected, built quietly in the space she had created, and for the first time, Emily realized maybe asking Ryan to keep his distance hadn't protected her marriage. Maybe it had just changed who he reached for instead. The tension in the house had been building for weeks, quiet but unmistakable. Emily could feel it in the way Lily lingered a little too long in the kitchen, the way Ryan's eyes seemed to soften when he looked at her sister, and the way her own heart raced at moments she couldn't quite explain. It all came to a head on a Friday evening. Ryan had been working late at the office, and Emily had spent the day organizing the guest room for Lily, who had been struggling to find her own rhythm again. The evening was crisp, with autumn winds rattling the window panes, and Emily felt a heaviness she couldn't shake. Lily came downstairs carrying a tray of tea. Her eyes met Emily's, and she smiled softly, almost apologetically. She said gently. "I don't want to make things uncomfortable, I feel like I owe you for everything you've done." Emily swallowed hard. "Lily, you're my sister. You don't owe me anything. I just want you to be happy." Lily nodded, her smile fading slightly. "I know, but sometimes I wonder if I'm overstepping." With Ryan, Emily's hands froze on the teacup. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice quieter than she intended. "I don't know," Lily admitted, setting the tray down. Sometimes you ask him to give me space, and then he's so kind to me anyway. I feel like I'm intruding." Emily looked down at the cup, the warmth from the tea doing nothing to calm her racing heart. He's been keeping distance, hasn't he? She thought. Or has he? At that moment, Ryan walked in quietly from the hallway, his coat still on, and saw them sitting together. "Everything okay?" he asked. Emily's chest tightened. She wanted to scream at him, to tell him she felt the distance shrinking again, but the words wouldn't come out. Ryan knelt beside them, sensing the tension. "You know I only do what's right," he said softly. "I never mean to make anyone feel uncomfortable." Emily looked at him, her voice trembling. "I asked you to give her space, and you did. But sometimes, Ryan, sometimes it feels like you didn't. Like you're still close to her in ways I can't measure." Ryan took her hands gently in his own. "Emily, listen to me. I've done exactly what you asked. I've kept my distance, but my heart is always here with you. I love you. Nothing, and no one, can change that." Emily felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes. His words were simple, but they carried everything she had been afraid to hear: honesty, reassurance, and a gentle, unwavering love. Then Lily spoke up, her voice soft but certain. I've been trying to adjust, really. I don't want to interfere with your marriage. I don't want you to feel pushed aside." Emily shook her head, letting out a shaky laugh. "It's not that, I think. I just misunderstood everything. I was so worried about boundaries that I forgot you're my sister, and Ryan is my husband. And both of you mean so much to me." Ryan pulled Emily closer, and she leaned into him, feeling the steady beat of his heart against hers. Lily watched them for a moment, then smiled faintly, understanding that her place in the house didn't have to be a threat, it was just different. For the first time in weeks, the three of them laughed together. It was soft, a little awkward, but genuine. The kind of laughter that comes after tension breaks, after emotions that were bottled up finally have space to breathe. Later that night, after Lily had gone to bed, Emily and Ryan sat together on the porch, wrapped in a blanket, watching the stars. "I was scared," Emily admitted, resting her head on his shoulder. "Scared that something could come between us, even if it wasn't real." Ryan kissed the top of her head. "It's okay to be scared, but remember this, love isn't about controlling every moment. It's about trusting each other. Always." Emily nodded, tears sliding down her cheeks, feeling a weight lift off her shoulders. "I trust you," she whispered, "and I'm so grateful for you. For us." He smiled, pulling her closer. "We'll get through everything, together." And in that quiet, starlit moment, Emily realized something important. Boundaries and distance could guide behavior, but love, honesty, and trust were what truly held a marriage together. She had asked Ryan to do something, and he had done it, but what mattered most was that, even in distance, his heart had always been with her. The house finally felt like home again, not because Lily had moved in, and not because rules had been followed, but because honesty and love had been restored. It was a lesson Emily would never forget. Sometimes, the hardest moments bring the deepest understanding, and the quietest actions can speak louder than words. The night ended with Emily and Ryan sitting together, hearts aligned, knowing that no matter what challenges came next, they had each other. And for Lily, the path to independence had just begun, one that would strengthen not just her, but the bond between the three of them in ways none of them expected. The following morning, the house felt lighter, not just because of sunlight streaming through the windows, but because a quiet understanding had settled over all of them. The tension that had been so palpable weeks before was gone, replaced by a new rhythm, gentle but steady. Emily awoke early, the soft hum of the coffee maker in the kitchen signaling that Ryan had already started his morning routine. She smiled, feeling warmth in her chest. After the evening's heartfelt conversation, she realized something profound. Love was not about rigid control or constant monitoring, it was about trust, patience, and shared understanding. Downstairs, Lily was quietly making herself breakfast, humming a soft tune. When she noticed Emily watching her, she waved. "Morning, Em," she said, her voice carrying the ease of someone who finally felt safe. "Morning, Lily," Emily replied, feeling a genuine happiness that her sister was settling in well. "Sleep well. Better than I have in weeks," Lily admitted with a smile. Emily turned toward Ryan, who was pouring coffee into 2 mugs. Their eyes met, and he gave her that quiet, reassuring smile that always seemed to say, "We're okay. We're together." Breakfast was calm and warm, filled with laughter and small conversations. Ryan was attentive, not distant, not overly close to Lily, but simply present. The balance Emily had feared was now tangible. It wasn't forced. It felt natural. After breakfast, Emily went to the living room, where Ryan followed, holding her hand. "You did exactly what I asked," she said softly. "And in doing so, you showed me something even more important." He raised an eyebrow. "Oh, that love isn't about control, it's about presence, trust, and heart. You never stopped being mine, even while giving her space. That's the kind of love I needed to see." Ryan smiled, pulling her close. "And that's exactly what I felt I had to do. I love you, Em, always." Emily felt tears prick her eyes, not from sadness, but from the relief of knowing their bond had only grown stronger. Lily, noticing the quiet moment, approached. "I just wanted to say, thank you, for trusting me, for giving me a place here without making me feel like an intruder." Emily hugged her sister tightly. "Lily, you'll always be welcome. You're my sister. But now, you're also finding your own path, and that's beautiful." Ryan watched the two of them, a soft smile on his face. Emily realized then how strong their bond could be when built on honesty and respect. Later that day, the three of them decided to take a walk in the nearby park. The autumn leaves crunched beneath their feet, and the air was crisp with possibility. They laughed freely, shared memories, and even Ryan joined in on Lily's little jokes. It wasn't forced. It was effortless. Emily glanced at him and felt a surge of love. He had done exactly what she asked, not blindly, but thoughtfully. And in doing so, he had preserved the delicate balance between love for her and care for her sister. Weeks passed, and life settled into a gentle routine. Lily thrived at her job and began to plan a life for herself, independent, yet still connected to the family. Emily and Ryan's relationship deepened, fortified by the challenges they had faced together. The small moments, quiet dinners, shared smiles, whispered conversations became treasures, reminders of the trust and love that anchored them. One evening, as the three of them sat together on the porch, Emily felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. For her husband, who had respected her wishes and acted with integrity. For her sister, who had found her own strength while still being a part of their lives. And for herself, for learning that love sometimes required courage, patience, and faith. Ryan reached for Emily's hand, and she intertwined her fingers with his. "I think we've found our balance," he said softly. Emily nodded, leaning against him. "Yes, and it's more than I could have hoped for." Lily smiled at them both, her heart lighter than ever. "I think so too," she said, and for the first time in months, the house felt completely at peace. The challenges had tested them, but love had endured. Boundaries had been honored, hearts had been respected, and the family had grown stronger, not in spite of the difficulties, but because of them. It was a quiet, beautiful kind of happiness, the kind that comes from understanding, forgiveness, and unwavering trust. And in that moment, Emily knew, without a doubt, that no matter what the future held, they would face it together as a family, bound by love that had weathered every storm. The end.